A teenage girl impetuously texts a nude photograph of herself to her boyfriend. After their breakup, he forwards the nude photograph to others at their high school. She is bullied and ridiculed by her schoolmates. She begins to skip school and her grades fail. Unable to cope, she commits suicide after returning from the funeral of a friend who had also committed suicide. This story can be found on WLWT TV. Recently, I received a letter from my children's school informing parents of the increase in the number of suicide threats and suicide. As the parent of two teenagers, I was concerned and so decided to do some research on youth suicide. I would like to share with you some of the information I found about the growing concern of attempted suicide and some of the warning signs and resources available for prevention. What is suicide? Webster's Dictionary defines suicide as an act of killing oneself intentionally. The Youth Suicide Prevention Program lists the following as some of the factors that can lead to suicide attempt. Biological factors, which include but are not limited to a family history of mental illness and depression, drug and alcohol abuse, learning disorder, dissatisfaction with one's physical appearances, and concern about one's sexual orientation. Thomas Joyner, in his book Why People Die by Suicide, explores the connection between genetics and suicide and the effect an imbalance in serotonin levels play in reducing the natural fear that people have of inflicting pain upon themselves. Sociological factors can include relationship problems, abuse, bullying, peer pressure, academic stress, including other people's high expectations of you. Dr. Andrew Morrison, in his book The Culture of Shame, states that shame and humiliation leaves some people feeling hopeless and desperate, and suicide becomes their way of ending the pain and humiliation. Psychological factors include feelings of being stupid, worthless, and self-loathing, thinking that you are a burden to others and that they would be better off without you, and the belief that things will never get better. Some of the warning signs that may alert others that someone is suicidal can be previous suicide attempts, talking about or making plans to commit suicide, an overwhelming desire to die or preoccupation with death, friendship or relationship with others who think the same way, giving away valued possessions, signs of depressions which may include moodiness, hopelessness, and being withdrawn and distant. Having identified some of the contributing factors and warning signs, let us take a look at the rate of attempted suicide and suicide compiled by the CDC. The following are results from surveys conducted by the CDC tracking the rate of suicide attempts and youth suicide between the ages of 14 to 24. I will also like to show you some slides of these figures. In 2005, 32,000 US lives were lost to suicide. That is roughly 89 per day, or 1 every 6 minutes. Suicide ranks as the second leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds. In 2007, a youth risk behavior surveillance report stated that almost 15% of 9 to 12 graders seriously considered suicide. Almost 7% admitted to attempting suicide. Let us take a look at some of these slides. Although females attempt suicide more frequently than males, figures show that men are more likely to die because they use deadlier methods such as firearms. Now that we have identified suicide as a growing threat to our youth and know some of the contributing factors, warning signs, and the scale of the problem, let us take a look at some of the resources available for prevention. Means restriction and means reduction refer to limiting access to the most deadly methods of dying by suicide. Remove or store handguns away from at-risk youth. Erect barriers on bridges or other jump-off points. Limit the quantity of sleeping or other potentially lethal medication to at-risk youth. Suicide prevention programs include Look, Listen, Link, an educational program geared at students in grades 6 to 8. Helping Every Single Person, HELP, is the high school equivalent, and help is available on college campuses through Campus Suicide Prevention Program. Family members, school counselors, local churches, or trusted adults can also provide help and support. Professional help is available from healthcare providers or mental health specialists. Emergency help can be obtained at hospital emergency rooms or by calling the crisis hotline 1-800-SUICIDE or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. Today I have informed you about the growing concern of attempted suicide and suicide, some of the warning signs, and some of the resources available for prevention. In her book, How I Stayed Alive When My Brain Was Trying to Kill Me, Susan Bluner wrote, "I think that when you don't know what to do with your pain and are feeling unloved, suicide seems like a better choice than life. Together we can work to make living the better choice."